me, sir. Did you see what happened here in the grocery store? Yeah, I did. Come running through the pole beans, passing the tomatoes. Right by my wife, I said, don't look, Ethel.
They go fire and fry.
That's all.
See him again.
That's all vegetarian.
Your life.
Very good beans.
I just played the chicken dance, dude.
Here, take it.
I'm not the only one. Wow, wow, wow.
You're going down.
Yeah, now.
I can't do this. I can't work under these fucking conditions. God damn it.
I hate it.
Let's do it.
I was born in 1940, so 1956 was maybe 16. 56, 57, yeah. 57, about 17, 16. We used to come along the Tamiami Trail, fishing, exploring. When I got to working with Poppenhager, I was about 17 or 18. I think it was 18. Met up with Carl Schroeder, who was a shop foreman, welder, brazier, all around mechanic, everything. Bud's brother, Don Poppenhager, was our master mechanic. Roy, he was a road commissioner in an area up in Illinois, one of the towns or whatever. He was one of the oldest. When I went to work, I started out as an oiler on a crane. As an oiler on a crane, the cranes that he had mainly were called bantam cranes, okay? They weren't hydraulic operated, they weren't aero hydraulic, they were all friction and mechanical. So you pull the outriggers up by hand. You put the pads on the outriggers and you jack the crane up by hand. It had to be level. I got tied up with Pop, and mainly I got started with Carl Schroeder. He had brought a swamp buggy into the shop. I used to hang around after hours and we'd work on this swamp buggy. We would go inside the loop around the 40-mile bend. When you start off the 40-mile bend on Tamiami Trail, if you stay left on the dirt road, that takes you all the way around the loop, comes way back up at the club. And that's where we used to do our camping and hunting in there with Carl Schroeder, a couple other people, myself, my operator, Winston Muller, God rest his soul. After doing that for 5 or 6, 7 years, you know, then we'd go out and he'd do power line jobs. We did a lot of power line jobs. And he had drilling rigs, Texomas, he had Sterling drilling rigs. We'd drill and set the poles because it had a big winch on it. I could do both, anchors, whatever. Did all kind of work like that. And it was very interesting because I learned a lot. Pop taught me how to weld, how to braze, how to cut, fabricate stuff. I mean, literally working on crane booms and stuff to match them up. And it's not easy. They got to be perfect. After that, I got hooked up with Pop coming out to his camp and stuff like that. Well, not his camp. He didn't have the camp at that time. He came out and bought all this property. He bought, I mean, it's 3.5 sections of property. As you know, there's 640 acres to a section. So you own several townships, they call it. In the Big Cypress, known today, the Big Cypress, back then, when the government, time passes now, all these camps were built. A lot of people came out and built camps in this Everglades. Homesteaders, they just came out and built a camp anywhere they wanted to. So that was, you know, that was a big deal. But time passes, and Pop came out here, and he had bought a big D8 bulldozer. Back then was a cable-operated blade on it. Converted that to hydraulic blade, which makes it a lot easier. And built his camp. He bought the Airstream trailer out and added on additions to it, and then came over near our area and built before this camp was here. a place is what we call it Shed Island. We built a big shed out there. It was just an open shed, metal roof, and then kept a lot of equipment stuff under that shed. And we started working on the airstrip and dug a couple of ponds with the dozer. Around the outer edges of the strip, we went along and pushed all the dirt up in that particular area off both sides to make it higher. And we started out with a 1,300 foot airstrip. Then we extended it shortly after that to 2,000 feet. And turned out real nice. Seeded it, you know. It's a nice strip. Still is a nice strip. And as time passes, Uncle Sam sent me a greetings letter. Doing other jobs for Pop, power line stuff. I did a lot of power line crossings with him. We did the one in Loxahatchee where we took an amphibious landing craft and mounted a crane on that, and did the power line across the Loxahatchee Game Preserve. I did the 40-mile telephone pole from Chrome Avenue to the 40-mile bend. The original poles, I put those in. And then several others from when I got back out of the Army. We did the one from, well, they had already started. I got the tail end of it, was from Crystal River to Oldsmar, which is just the other side of Tampa. It was 89 miles of power line. But anyway, I got back into going to the Glades and stuff like that with Pop. We started, he owned like 3 sections. Section 14 is where we were going to originally build a big camp. But then he changed his mind. It was a lot lower country than where this is at now. At that point is when the Airstream and trailer and everything was brought out here and the airstrip began, you know. And then they started building a place called the Jetport. He told me to just go out and pick me an area I wanted to build a camp in. So we're sitting in here talking. This is where we built the first camp. And of course I was back operating out of the Army, back operating again, and did a lot of work, picked up a lot of good lumber that was going to be thrown away. That's where I built the first camp. The first one I got off of a construction site was a small construction site trailer that they stored tools and whatever in, probably 30 foot at the most. But anyway, all this stuff we're talking about, we're still a little bit ahead of ourselves. When the government decided to come in and buy the property to make it a national park, there was a tremendous controversy over that with people who were out here, and most of them actually did not own the property out here. In the Big Cypress, there were 51 to 52,000 owners of property here, and they lived all over the world, not just in the United States. Hoppenhager was in on the dedication with Harry Truman during the dedication of the Everglades National Park, and of course that was before my time too. Anyway, pause.